DADS Disappearance Documentary by Lovetta. Almond Jean Little was born in Houston, Texas on October 18, 1949. His parents was Lovetta and Shedrick Little, both from Louisiana. He was the second son to Grandma. David Helton was her first son, and Dad was the only son known to Grandma. Almond Jean Little was better known in the north side of Houston, Texas, and grew up off of Double Street in the Little York area and was better known by his middle name, Jean. He attended Drew Junior High School in the years between 1963, 64, and more, according to his report card. He had 5 children, 1 daughter, Lovetta Little, the oldest, and 4 sons. Only 2 remained in his life from time to time. Dad had 3 known grands and 3 grands by me, great-grand. And Pooh didn't have children and not sure of the illegitimate sons and children. But Lovetta Lamar Little, was born on September 26, 1970 to Lovey, who was 16, and Almond Jean Little, 20, in Houston, Texas. On January 1, 1974, Almond Jean Little Jr., better known as Pooh, was born to my dad, Almond Jean Little and Norma Little. I graduated from Dime Box High School in June of 1989 with Dad and Mom present. Dad surprised me upon his arrival, but we had a good time. It was his first time meeting his grandson, my 4-month-old son, only son. Shortly after graduating, I moved back to Houston and started spending more time with him. We would enjoy cooking together, out to eat, traveling, family gatherings, and eventually family funerals. A few years later, Jean took me to meet his son, Almond Jean Little, better known as Pooh, who was only 19 and working at Sonics at the time. My brother, he joined right in with us on the family gatherings, traveling out to eat, casinos, and like I say, eventually the funerals. Pooh actually reminded me of Grandpa Little with his easygoing spirit, although he had an Army background. Grandpa Little, he lived to age 80 and he passed away October 24th, 1993. We made his funeral arrangements while Grandma was in the hospital. She missed it. June 7, 1995, I gave birth to my second child, who was a daughter. Dad, Pooh, and KT was at the hospital with me for the delivery. Not long after she was born, things started to spiral out of control with the Little family. In fact, Grandma Little tried warning me Pooh would not be with us long after she passed, not including the dream that I had when I was 6 months pregnant with my daughter. The dream showed us all dressed up in black for a funeral, and sure enough, it came true, except a different person. It was my brother instead of my daughter's dad. Grandma Little, she passed on April 1st, 1996 at the age of 78, and unfortunately, Pooh was brutally murdered, shot in the head, and passed on my daughter's first birthday, June 1996. Exactly 2 months and a week, just like Grandma Little said, he would be dead. Dad was responsible for the entire situation of us losing Pooh, his own son. Before my brother Pooh was murdered, he revealed to me that Dad stole the drugs from him. The guys threatened Pooh to come up with the money. It was a large sum of money and he was not able to replace it. So they took his life. The guys were never arrested according to a reliable source, which means that they were still on the streets. Dad and my brother's mother got back together after he was murdered. We tried continuing on with life like wounded soldiers, but for Dad, it was still the same street type of lifestyle. Until suddenly in the mid-year of 1999, Dad, Almond Jean Little, disappeared. The family went through a dormant period or denial because Dad disappearing was not anything new on us. He would always leave for weeks at a time. Eventually, I became extremely concerned about his whereabouts and started searching for him. Although it was years later, because I had to sort out questions to God on if Dad was still on earth or not. And you know he answered not long later and revealed to me Dad was no longer with us. Contact was made to his wife on reporting him missing. A small part of the north side of Houston where he hung out was asked about him. During this dormant time, my third daughter was born. July 27, 2011. After experiencing all sorts of emotions such as denial, anger, fear, confused, shock, anxiety, grief, depression, stress, shame, and finally, acceptance of this ambiguous loss. I built up enough courage to report Dad missing to the HPD under Detective Boost. The search continued by DNA, databases, criminal records, court proceedings, etc. I would check in with the detective frequently for any updates on the case. Of course, we were still in the dormant stage again without any answers on Dad's disappearance. Counseling for me started with Access Help in 2018. Then in 2019, on May 29th, I filed through the Houston Volunteer Lawyers with Attorney Zell an order for a delayed registration of death for Dad. He started researching Dad's history, former addresses, children, wife, and criminal records. And we found out that Dad had 2 arrest records of theft, false identity, and the final one was assault on his wife. This was after their son's death. The other charges were before all of this stuff started to unravel. He had served prison time for theft cases. The family decided to put together a memorial service for Dad on October 20, 2019, while waiting on the court date to have him lawfully declared deceased. It turned out good considering we still don't have a body or remains, and with me doing the eulogy, the family and the ministry assistance was very helpful. We were able to eat at Dad's favorite restaurant, Dennis, for the Grand Slam afterwards. Dad would take me for the Grand Slam frequently when he was around, and surely that's what was left, a damn Grand Slam, all right. The following year of 2020, under my leadership, Lost Sheep Ministry was presented. This name was given due to the situation I've been placed in with dealing with Dad's disappearance. Lost Sheep Ministry mission is feeding the homeless physical and spiritual food by serving lunches, care packs, scripture, and supplication frequently to the Houston homeless. April 29, 2021, DBA was filed for Lost Sheep Ministry and has continued to serve presently. June 10, 2021, an official document was signed by the judge in Harris County Probate Court number 3. They agreed that the evidence the petitioner presented was meritorious, meaning strongly correct, deserving of a reward, just to keep it simple, praise and or recognition. The court declared Dad lawfully deceased, which could be done on any missing person in Texas after 7 years by their loved ones. An inheritance was claimed from the Texas Comptrollers of Public Accounts on missing money Dad had in his name during the October 1st, 2021 until December 27, 2021. We did receive a small amount of inheritance after a brief battle and by providing needed paperwork. Afterwards, the rough draft of Dear Dad by Lovetta Smith was created. The book was published and released on Amazon in June 2022. 1 month later, I began attending Texas. The court declared Dad lawfully deceased, which could be done on any missing person in Texas after 7 years by their loved one. An inheritance was claimed from the Texas Comptrollers of Public Accounts on missing money Dad had in his name. This was done during October 1st, 2021 to December 27, 2021. We did receive a small amount of inheritance after a brief battle and by providing needed paperwork. Afterwards, the rough draft of Dear Dad by Lovetta Smith was created. The book was published and released on Amazon in June 2022. 1 month later, I began attending the Texas Center for the Missing in Houston under the leadership of Melissa Rangel, who assists with meetings and missing person cases. She will be credited for the interview Dad received publication by the Fox 26 News with Gabby Hart for the Missing in Houston, Texas. She set up an appointment for recording and questions about Dad's disappearance. Billboards of Dads went up at the end of July 2022. His story aired Fox 26 on August 8, 2022, and July for a follow-up July 20, 2023. Things started moving rapidly after attending my first meeting with the Texas Center for the Missing. Melissa accompanied me to the amazing 102.5 FM radio station for an interview with Amanda Sapp, discussing information about the missing in Houston, Texas, and Dad's disappearance on February 14, 2023. The detective on Dad's case retired 2023, and it was assigned to another detective. As of today, still no answers on his disappearance, except the exceptional note he wrote I found just a few days ago while working on his documentary. It said on his 8th grade social study report card, he wrote, "That's about sorry, I message up." My response after I found that and cried, "I forgive you, Dad." Anyway, in June 2024, Channel 2 reached out to the Texas Center for the Missing, who informed me of doing another interview, and this one was with Holly Goldberg. Holly set up a date for us to meet at the studio on June 11th. The interview reached over 24,000.6 views and more. Also currently working with the Texas Crime Compensation for reimbursement of memorial expenses, continual counseling, courts, other fees, etc. Lost Sheep Ministry looking forward to introducing a new law request under representatives' leadership on behalf of the families with missing loved ones by early January 2025. Still pursuing to obtain a birth and death certificate on Dad. Dad's disappearance documentary is written with sensitive material. You can find more about Dad's disappearance on Google, Amazon, Dear Dad Book, Amazing 102.5 FM, Fox 26 News, Channel 2 News under The Missing, and you can also report any information or tips concerning the disappearance of Mr. Armand Jean Little, HPD Missing Persons Unit at 832-394-1872. Or you can contact the Texas Center for the Missing, 713-599-0235. The detective, 832-394-1861. And I would like to thank the viewers for sharing this documentary and the supporters, media, family, and community. Thank you.